It's Beetle Dave's channel, yeah, yeah, yeah. Beetle Dave's channel, yeah, yeah, yeah. Boom, boom. Hello, everybody. For this video, I'm going to do one of my little special videos because although it's Beetle Dave's channel, today I'm not going to be talking about the Beatles. I'm going to be talking about an album that has influenced me. We've done a couple of these. We've done a couple of David Bowie ones and a Kinks one and Pink Floyd one. But today, the album that we're going to be talking about is one by Adam and the Ants. Now, it's not the Adam and the Ants of Prince Charming and Stand and Deliver and Dog Eat Dog and Ant music. This is actually the original Adam and the Ants. And the album is called Dirk Wears White Socks. This is very much a punk album, punk stroke new wave. Very, very different to, the Adam and the Ants of the chart hits and things like that. I tell you the track listing. Right, side one, we have Car Trouble, parts 1 and 2. Then we have Digital Tenderness, then 9 Plan Failed, The Day I Met God, and Table Talk. Side 2 is Cleopatra, Catholic Day, Never Trust a Man with Egg on His Face, Animals and Men, Family of Noise, and then The Idea. That is the track listing. I don't know if you can see it. Words and music by Adam Ant. And there's no, apart from Adam Ant, there is nobody on here from the Adam and the Ants that you will know from, Ant music and Stand and Deliver and stuff like that. So you've got David Barb on percussion and drums. You've got Matthew Ashman on guitar and piano. You've got Andrew Warren on bass, and then you've got Adam Ant on vocals, electric and acoustic guitar, piano, and harmonica. And it was produced by Adam Ant and engineered by Benny King, not Ben E. King, Benny King. And it was released in 1979 on Do It Records, which was an independent record label. Now, prior to this, Adam and the Ants had sort of like released a couple of singles. They'd released Young Parisians, and that was backed by the classic Lady in 1978, I think it was. They'd also done a couple of tracks for the film Jubilee, Plastic Surgery and I can't remember the one now. Oh, Deutsch Girls. And then they had actually, prior to the release of this LP, in 1979, they had released the song Car Trouble, not Car Trouble, sorry, Xerox, and the B-side was Whipping My Valise, which, if you remember a band called Gillan at the time, sounds very much like that. That isn't on this album. Technically, there was no singles released off this album, although later, in 1980, Adam Ant did re-record Car Trouble, but not with anybody that's on this. Very, very influential album in its time. I think it was the first album that got to #1 in the independent or indie album charts. So, very striking cover in one way. And you get an inner sleeve with all the lyrics to the songs. But this is a UK first pressing, as far as I know, because it did come out on slightly different label variations. Let's just have a look. So that's like 2. This is actually, although the other one was on Do It Records, this is actually the Do It Records label. That's side 1. I don't know. I don't think you're going to be able to see these on here, to be honest. And that is side 2. Like I say, it did come out on a slightly different label later on. As you can see, I hardly ever played this, which is ironic, really, because I played it. It looks like it's hardly ever been played. But I used to play this to death when I was a teenager. So the catalogue number on this was Ride 3/2 and Ride 3/1. So It's ride 3, and then the stroke 1 means side 1, and the stroke 2 means side 2, obviously. All songs copyright control. So Car Troubles Part 1 and 2. Well, if you know Adam and the Ants, you might know the version that came out as a single, which was, like I say, was re-recorded in early 1980. But it only really featured Adam Ant on vocals and bass. You had Marco on guitar for the first time. And then you had, who was on the drums? The guy at Culture Club, John Moss. He was on drums. Although on the actual, you got it in a picture sleeve, and it said drums Terry 1 and 2, but it was actually John Moss. And that is actually a completely different version to this. This part 1 is basically a bit of a, I won't say it's rubbishy song, but it's nothing like what you think the song is nowadays. Part 2 is basically a slightly slower version of the re-recorded version. Like I say, you know, that was probably one of the main highlights of this album. Digital Tenderness is a good song. Nine Plan Failed is a good song, very, very good. The Day I Met God is brilliant. The day I met God, it was pissing with rain and we went, ooh. Like I say, very, very different to the Adam and the Ants that a lot of people know. Table Talk is, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's one of the strongest songs on here. Then on side 2, we've got Cleopatra, which is basically the story of Cleopatra and how many men she was supposed to have gone to bed with and done naughty things with and things like that. Catholic Day is basically about the assassination of John F. Kennedy, if I remember rightly. Never Trust a Man with Egg on His Face. Now, when Adam and the Ants did become famous later on, and they did tour, he did sometimes do that, and he did sometimes do a version of Car Trouble, didn't he? Again, Never Trust a Man with Egg on His Face is a highlight of this album for me. A man and a woman walking down the street, a son and a daughter, it was oh so sweet. Then mummy turned to daddy and she said, my dear, make up your will because the time is near. Brilliant song. Honestly, don't take my word for it, you know. Then you got Animals and Men. Again, it's, you know, goodish song. Family of Noise, and then The Idea. Do, 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 do. The Idea. Ding, 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 ding. All in all, a classic punk record. Like I say, completely different to the stuff that he went on to record that actually made him famous. Now, the strange thing is, in around 1979, I don't know if it was after this album or just before this album came out, I actually saw this lineup of Adam and the Ants. But at the time, I didn't know who they were because they were the backup band. Well, not the backup band. There was like, you used to go and see like a couple of bands, didn't you? And these came on before like the main act, who was, if I remember rightly, can't remember if it's Stiff Little Fingers or UK Subs. It was something like that. So when these came on, nobody really knew who they were. And it wasn't till later, like a year later, when I saw Adam Ant doing Dog Eat Dog on Top of the Pops, I think it was. And I thought, I know him. I've seen him. So yeah, I have actually seen the original Adam and the Ants. So that is the original UK first pressing, as far as I know. Then we had a repress. Again, similar cover. Well, the covers are identical, to be honest. Dirk Wears White Socks. This is virtually in mint condition, by the way, this one. Do It Records, 128B, Camden Road, London, NW1 9EE, Ride 3. And anything that is different to this one is lovely heavyweight record, though, to be honest. It's got a different label. See what I mean? This is what they call the chair label for some reason. I know it's got to be a bit hard to see these because it's white and this computer don't like white labels, does it? But I can never work out if this is the first press or the other one. I've been told the one with the ordinary Do It label is first press, and this is second press, which came out early 1980, if I remember rightly. Once Adam and the new ants, shall we say, had started to have a little bit of success. But just after this album had been recorded, if I remember rightly, I mean, I could be wrong because I'm getting old, Adam Ant asked Malcolm McLaren to be his manager. Yes, the Malcolm McLaren. So he says, well, basically, yes, how much money have you got? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll manage you. And Malcolm McLaren, being Malcolm McLaren, did what he usually does. So, signed contracts and everything with him. And then technically he signed he sacked Adam Ant from his own band. So Adam and the Ant is technically sacked from Adam and the Ants. Because he signed the others to a contract and wanted to bring in a girl singer, which he did, and that band became Bow Wow Wow. Bow Wow Wow. I Want Candy and, things like that. Which, in hindsight, was a good thing because then that made Adam go out and work with Marco, which then brought him the success that he'd always wanted. Excuse me 1 minute, I'll just have a swag. So only orange and water. So then once Adam and the Ants became big, the first version of Adam and the Ants. Oh, by the way, there was a spin-off from that LP as well, which was called Adam and the Ants, the Ant Music EP. Ant Music EP, and the funny thing is, Ant Music isn't on this at all because this is slightly different recordings from there. So you've got side one, Kick, which is a very, very slow version of the B-side of the re-recorded Car Trouble single. Then you've got Physical. You've got Car Trouble Part 1. And then on side 2, you've got Car Trouble Part 2 and Friends. So some of these are unreleased or alternative versions from the LP. Again, you've got Adam Ant, you've got Matthew, Dave Bob, and Andy Warren. Front cover by Barbara, whoever Barbara was. Rear photo, Philip Gray. Sleeve, Paul Vidout. Done It. That's catalogue number because this is from Do It Records. Done It 20. And then it says PO Box 403 London NW1 5JF. So Kick is a previously unreleased version. Physical. Now Adam and the Ants did actually re-record that for CBS, didn't they? Is it previously previously released in limited edition only. Car Trouble Part 1 is remixed. Car Trouble Part 2 is remixed. And Friends is a previously unreleased version. But to me, that is like the lineup from the Dirk Wears White Socks here, isn't it? But I'd say that photo there is more of the King Adam when he was doing the Kings of the Wild Frontier album. So how they got to do a photo of that, I don't know, but I could be wrong. But with the makeup and everything, it does look like it, doesn't it? Plain sleeve, so you don't get no lyrics or anything to this one. Doesn't actually say when it. I'm sure this came out about 1981. Sure it did. Manufactured in the UK. Adam Ant Music and EMI Music. So this is side 1. So this is Kick, Physical and Car Troubles Part 1. And then side 2 is Car Trouble Part 2 Friends. This is actually quite rare. It's very, very nice to have, but very, very rare to get nowadays. I think when it came out, it was only like a limited run because I remember rightly, Adamant tried to stop its release. I'm sure he did. I'm sure that was the story. He stopped the release because he was working on something else at the time, which was another version of Dirk Wears White Socks. So that's the stuff from the original album. And then we got this version. Again, this was actually released once Adam and the Ants of Adamant had become famous. And this time it is on CBS. And this is actually harder to get than the original, believe it or not. Recorded at Sound Development Roundhouse and Rockfield Studios, July 79 to March 1980. So you get the re-recorded versions of Car Trouble on this. Engineers Benny King, Hugh Jones, and Trevor Horsley. All songs written and arranged by Adamant, produced by Adamant, except Chris Hughes, which is the re-recorded versions. Musicians David Barb, John Moss. See, I told you he played on it, didn't I? Andrew Warren, Matthew Ashman, Marco, and Adamant. They obviously didn't all play together, did they? Slightly different track listing on here as well. Nice, though. It's nice. Nice cover. Nice and glossy. Still prefer the original, though. This is what is put on the liner now. I wrote the songs on this album between 1976 and 1979. They represent the live repertoire of Adam and the Ants as they then were. A dedicated and extremely loyal audience heard the songs performed in tiny clubs up and down the British Isles, as well as in Belgium, Italy, and Berlin. Those years proved to be an invaluable experience to me, and though often overlooked during the success that followed, I've always been very dear to my heart. When control of the master tapes reverted to me, I took the opportunity, with the help of Marco, to do justice to the work by incorporating the first 2 singles and making the album widely available to our audience. I hope you enjoy Dirk Wears White Socks as much as I enjoyed the years making it. Adamant. Adamant, that's Marco. Marco actually doesn't live very far from me. Somewhere in Derbyshire, don't exactly know where. So you have the re-recorded version of Car Trouble, which was also released as a single. Have you ever had a ride in a light blue car? Have you ever dropped the thing who's the slave and is the master? Ba, ba, ba. Brilliant single. Deserved to actually be a hit when it was originally released, not when it was re-released once Adam and the Ants became famous. Then you got Kit, which is a brilliant B-side to Car Trouble. Digital Tenderness. 9 Plan Failed. Family of Noise. Table Talk. Then you have Xerox Machine, la la, Xerox Machine, la la, which was, like I say, it was recorded during these sessions, but actually was released as a single before the original album. Cleopatra. Never Trust a Man with his egg on his face again. That song is brilliant. Honestly, if you've got a streaming device, just listen to that. Very, very weird, but weird in a good way. Animals and Men, The Idea. And then you have the original B-side from Xerox, Whipping My Valise. When I met you, you was just 16, pulling the way of my flies. One old lady got hit by a truck. I saw the wreck in her eyes. Brilliant song. Brilliant song. But obviously, this isn't on Do It. It's now on CBS. Like I say, this is actually quite hard to get now. It's a bit ironic, really, seeing as he says, I wanted to remix the album and add things to make it more, available to our fans. You try and find this anyway. I think it's virtually impossible to get it anywhere near mint condition anyway. So the late catalogue number for this is CBS 25361. Fantastic album. If you can ever get any of these versions, they are worth having. If you're into your punk and your new wave, or you're an Adamant fan. Interesting fact about Adamant: he did actually tour this, not this version, the original version, a few years ago, and it was probably the first time it probably played some of them songs live for the best part of 40 years. It did go down quite well. So that's that one, and then we've got the original version. Out of the two, I do prefer this one, to be honest, because that is how it was originally intended to be heard. That one is a good album as well. Don't get me wrong; it is a good album. What was I saying? Yeah, Adamant is actually doing a tour this year, and I'd always been an Adamant, not so much like the Finch Charwin and stuff like that. I mean, that album, and I do like the Kings of the Wild Frontier album, which is another good album if you get a chance to get it. You can still get that one pretty easily off eBay and Discogs. They usually go for around the £10 mark. One to look out for is the original one that's got the booklet with it, like a Adam and the Ants catalogue, because it gives you the history of all the various versions of Adam and the Ants up to 1980. Let's bear with 1 sec. Yeah, Adam Ant's doing a tour. So because I'd always liked Adam and the Ants, and my missus quite likes Adamant, I thought, oh, well, perhaps go and have a look at that, because it's playing there. It's playing in Nottingham, which isn't that far away. Do you know how much it is to get a ticket? £75 each. That's £150 to go and see Adamant. Now, I was very, very tempted to get them, but then I've read some of the reviews from some of the shows he's done so far, and they're very, very mixed. Honestly, they are very, very mixed. Like I say, I am lucky. I've already seen him. I saw him before he was famous. And it's one of them things where, yeah, I saw him, didn't really know who he was, but I can remember the concert. And it's like, if I go and see him now and he's not as good, is it going to spoil the memory I had when I originally saw him? Probably will still go and see him. I think it's one of them things where if you don't do it, you probably regret it. But like I say, I've just got to save some money because I've got other things to pay for as well. So, yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like I say, we do these every now and again, although it's the Beatle Dave channel and it is about the Beatles. Beatle Dave's channel, John Lennon. Occasionally I do things which is other than the Beatles, just, because although it's Beatle Dave channel, it is about the Beatles, but it's also about collecting records. And as I said, all of these are actually quite rare now. That one on the original Do It label, that one is probably worth about between 25 and 50 quid. The one on the later label with the chair label, that is probably worth around the £35 mark. The Amp Music EP, bearing in mind Amp Music isn't on it, I think that's why he tried to stop it, actually, because I think Do It did actually release this just after it had a hit with Amp Music. That's probably worth best part of 30 quid. And then this one, although this is like at the time, it was a more common one out the lot. It's probably the hardest one to get now. So that's probably worth about 50 quid, 35 to 50 quid. Not that I'm selling any of these. A lot of punk records now, whether they are originals or reissues from the 80s, are worth a hell of a lot of money. It's one of them things. In hindsight, I wish I'd kept all my punk records. Still got some of them, but I haven't got all of them. Because I did have an original version of Nevermind the Bollocks without the track listing on the back. That's worth a hell of a lot of money now as well. But everybody that is subscribing and liking my videos, thank you very much. If you want to leave comments, please do. If you like my channels and you know people that like records, like I say, it's not all about the Beatles. 99% of the time it is the Beatles. But sometimes we do other things just to like keep people interested. And people that like records, say Beatle Dave, yeah, he knows about his records. It is mainly Beatles, obviously, as the name says, Beatle Dave, but he does do other things. And I tell him little stories and stuff as well. Thank you very much. And I've got, my missus made me this T-shirt the other day. She's got to put Lennon down the side, but I think it looks all right as it is. And she also made me this stuff. Beatle Dave. With a record player there, look. Cushion cover. When I'm sat up here in this chair entertaining people, which I love doing. It is just a little bit of fun, this. All I'm doing is trying to pass on some of my knowledge about records and record collecting in general to, you people out there. If you've got any comments, or you think I've said something wrong, which sometimes I do because I'm getting a little bit old now, you can put comments on. But that's going to be it for today, as always. Love your records. Cherish your records. Clean your records. But above all, play your records, because that's what they're here for, to play. And I've said before, you wouldn't go in a library and not look at a book, would you? Well, you might do. I don't know. So from Beatle Dave, and it's very, very sunny in Derby today. There's also Formula One, so I'm going to go down and get ready to watch that now. So, Beatle Dave's Beatle Channel, yeah, yeah, yeah. Beatle Dave's Channel, yeah, yeah, yeah. Beatle Dave's Channel, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's goodbye, and I will see you soon, and I hope I've entertained you. So, stay safe all, and I'll see you soon.